So hello, Shannon Moroney. Thank you so much. You're one of our very treasured 50 Thrivers, and I've invited you onto this little mini series just to ask a little bit about whether you've been thriving through COVID, this really tough time that we've been having, and if you have, at least in part, been thriving through COVID, whether there are any practices or insights you might want to share that have helped you thrive. So over to you, my darling. Have you been thriving through COVID?
Thank you, Emma. What a beautiful introduction. That just makes me thrive a little bit right there. What I can say broadly overall is that I know, like many other people in your book and also around the world who have been through a personal stigmatized crisis. For me, going through a collective unstigmatized crisis has been so much better. That doesn't mean it has so many challenges. That's not to discount any of that, but the fact that from the beginning of this months ago, I at any time could go out into my driveway in front of my house and see my neighbors and their driveway or someone across the street, and we could just openly talk about stress, worry, our emotions, men and women alike. That is a really, really different experience. And so I would say the number one thing for me that has helped me not succumb to the stress or the negative aspects of being in isolation or everything else that's going on is the ability to be able to talk about it with people and to know that none of this is our fault and to feel that support. So, yeah.
I love actually that you put such a positive perspective, so typical of you, I have to say, Shannon, to put such a positive perspective to say that actually one of the gifts in this is that it's maybe normalized us being vulnerable. It's normalized us being able to talk about the difficulties and how we feel. So true.
Absolutely. I mean, just mental health, as they say, mental health is the next pandemic. But I just see it as, it is a pandemic, and I'm a therapist as well, so I know my practice is bursting at the seams, but I think that what it does do is recognize that every single human being, from an infant to an elder, has mental health needs. It's just part of our health, our whole health. And so the open conversations in social media and regular mainstream media and in our streets and from our balconies about mental health and the actions that we are taking to support each other, that gives me a lot of hope. I see, if and when schools reopen, that mental health, I hope it's the big focus of the curriculum. Our kids can get information. They can get information anytime. There's no end of technology and screens and so on. I don't think school is nearly as much about getting information for this generation as it was for ours. But it is about the emotional intelligence, communication, and that has got to be the focus. And so in my house, we have a big chalkboard in the kitchen with the 4 M's of mental health written up on it, which are mindfulness. You probably know this, that mindfulness or meditation, movement, meaningful engagement, and mastery, which we call just getting good at something. Now, then one of my twins, 8-year-old twins, wrote on the bottom, the 5th M is messenger kids. At any rate, that's okay. She's communicating with her friends. So,
I love that. Yeah, of course, messenger kids. Well, I mean, that's just a helpful reminder, actually, of how vital those 4 M's are, and maybe the 5th one is, of course, for kids. Yeah. So, do you have any other insights or tips that you think have been helpful for you and your family?
I think. One of the things that I had to do personally, and a friend gave me this tip early, I go for a mental health walk with a friend. We walk about 8 kilometers 2 times a week early in the morning, apart, masked, all that, but we walk. And she said one day, she says, I'm just going to take COVID 2 weeks at a time. And it was such good advice, because where the real anxiety comes is in the thinking long term and being in limbo and having no idea what's going to happen, which the truth is we actually have never known the future, but we usually like to just feel comfortable with a reasonable expectation that the world is going to be somewhat normal. And this time is like, no, it's not. And it probably has never been. But so the 2 weeks at a time model has helped me, because I know when I go too far down the road, as I mentioned to you off screen privately, my husband has a lung disease. So we have to be we have to be extra careful. We need to protect him and so on. So if I go too far down the road, that's where my anxiety builds. So if I'm able to just look 2 weeks at a time, and even now it's sometimes with everything happening around school opening here in Canada and what it's going to be and not be, I'm kind of taking it 12 hours at a time, because that's how often it seems.
That's such a great, when you restrict the window of time that you're focusing on, you also restrict the degree of uncertainty that you're having to deal with.
Yes.
Because the smaller the window, the greater the level of certainty and control. The larger the window, the larger the level of uncertainty and lack of control. So I love that tip. That's great. And do you have one more? Can you sneak in one more?
Well, my favorite expression of all time, and I'm known for my little expressions, my handy dandy little quotes, but my favorite one of all time is "Don't borrow sorrow from tomorrow."
Oh, I love that. I've never heard of it before.
It just is so helpful. We don't know what's coming. I mean, here in Canada, what we absolutely for sure know is coming, like it does every year, is a really harsh winter. And so it's always, for me, that expression just reminds me of to enjoy the day and enjoy what is, everything that is not happening today. You know, today in my family, fortunately, nobody is sick today. You know, we still have blooms that blossom, you know, it just to focus and then, you know, be a bit prepared. I mean, I've shopped for more 1,000 piece puzzles for the winter ahead. When we're not going to be able to go outside. I mean, we're almost in isolation at that time anyway, but.
And it was minus 12 when I visited you. So I can speak to the winters in Canada. Oof, I thought Scotland was cold. So you need those jigsaws. That's all I'm saying. Don't go out.
So don't borrow sorrow from tomorrow, and just enjoy what it is that we can today. And when we're in a good enough place ourselves and we can help someone else out, we do that, and we let ourselves be helped too. Yeah. You know, when someone says, "Can I pick that up at the grocery store?" I mean, I hope this never changes in my community. It's how now every time you go anywhere, you know, there's going to be a lineup. Someone says, you phone 3 of your neighbors and say, "Do you need anything from there?"
Oh, I love that.
Oh, this is cool. That part is so cool.
I share that hope. Shannon, it's been really wonderful to see you. Thank you so much for being part of the 9 Secrets to Thriving and also part of this little mini series. I'm sure they've been helpful for me, but I'm sure your insights will be helpful for others watching.
Thank you. Thank you so much. It's always a privilege and a pleasure to see you and work with you.